Hüseyindede vases. The Hüseyindede vases are early Hittite vases decorated with reliefs, which were found in excavations at Hüseyindede Tepe near Yörüklü in the Turkish province of Çorum. There are fragments of 4 vases in total. 2 of them were nearly complete and were able to be restored. The vases, dated to approximately 1650 BC, are on display in the Çorum Archaeological Museum. Discovery. During site inspections by the Turkish archaeologists Untitled in 1996, sherds of early Hittite pottery were found on the surface on the south side of Hüseyindede Tepe, among other things. During an emergency excavation in 1997 and further regular excavations from 1998 in collaboration with the Çorum Archaeological Museum, fragments of earthenware pottery and parts of 4 distinct Hittite relief vases were brought to light. 2 of them were found in an ancient storeroom, the other 2 amongst the surrounding debris. They were restored in the museum. Vase B, the smaller one, which includes an image frieze, was published by Sepahi in 2001, while the restoration of Vase A, which has 4 image friezes, was still ongoing. Vase was finally published in 2002 by Yildirim at the Hittitology Congress in Ankara. Background. Hittite relief vases have been known since the excavations of Bagaskoy, the Hittite capital of Hattusa. Fragments have also been found at Alisar, Alakahoyuk, Eskiyapar, Kabakli, Elbistan, Karahoyuk, and Kamenkailhoyuk. They have generally been dated to the early period of the Hittite Empire in the first quarter of the 2nd millennium BC. The sole reconstructed example was a 4-frieze vase from Untitled Tepe, which is on display in the Museum of Anatolian Civilizations in Ankara, and a fragment with 3 friezes from Bitik. The motifs depicted on these vases consist of ritual activities, offering scenes and festivals with acrobats, dancers, and musicians. Description. The clay of the vases is mixed with gold mica, which is normal in Hittite pottery. They were turned on a potter's wheel. After they were turned, figures made of high-quality clay were attached to the surface of the vases, in friezes. The surfaces were hatched to encourage adhesion. The resulting composition consists of red, black, and cream-colored clays. Vase A, Vase A, Vase A. Vase is an example of the Bitik Inandic type, which is to say that it has 4 bands of frieze. It is 86 cm high, 50 cm in diameter, and has 4 handles. These seem to be the usual dimensions for vases of this type. The upper lip is a tube of clay broken up by a small basin, and 4 bowls had protomes facing inwards. Liquid might have been poured into the basin in the course of offering ceremonies. From the basin it would flow out of the bowl protome's mouth and into the vessel. This structure is also typical of the Bitik Inandic vase type, and is also known from Rita from Kultep. The 2 lower friezes are divided into 4 scenes by the handles. The bottom frieze shows 4 bowls facing in alternate directions, with their heads lowered towards the ground. They are generally linked to the local weather god. Their dynamic posture is unique in Hittite iconography of this time, and contrasts with other depictions in which they are led away to be sacrificed. They support the scene above on their shoulders, a feature seen also in seal impressions, a bronze plate from Alakahoyuk, and an ivory plaque from Megiddo. The 4 scenes of the second layer show an offering procession for a god. The first 3 images probably show people bringing a roe deer, a red deer, and a ram. The 2 deer are led by a rope by men with a short kilt, while the ram is led by a man at its side. In front of the ram there are 2 other men, probably priests, in a pose of prayer. In the 4th scene of this layer, the god is shown at right, seated on a high-backed chair, with a worshipper and a musician playing the lyre in front of him. A similar scene is seen on the Inandic vase, but in that case the object of worship is the weather god in the form of a bull, as also on the orthostate reliefs from Alakahoyuk. The 3rd frieze, which is the widest and most elaborate, shows another procession, which in this case leads to a temple and an altar. The mud bricks of the temple building are shown in different colored clays. Objects on the roof are probably altars, though Yildirim alternatively suggests that they are decorative objects or a railing. To the right of the temple, there is an altar which also recalls the Alacahoic orthostate reliefs. Several people approach the building from the left. The last of these is a musician who plays a string instrument which looks a lot like the Turkish baglama. In front of him is a woman with a pair of cymbals in her hands. Three women with cult objects precede her. The objects held by the two leftmost women cannot be identified, but Yildirim thinks the third woman has a type of incense burner which is mentioned in Hittite texts about religious rituals. The procession is led by two men with swords. The final scene in the third frieze, right of the altar, is remarkable. It shows two female figures sitting next to each other on a bed, with a man standing next to it holding up a bowl. The right woman seems to be helping the other with her jewelry or makeup. The left woman, dressed in black, might be a queen or goddess. A possible connection has been suggested with a hieros gamos. In that case, the standing man would be the divine or royal bridegroom. But we can only speculate about the identity of the depicted individuals, since they have no identifying attributes. According to another interpretation, the left figure is a sculpture, like another sitting figure in a carriage in the uppermost frieze. Textual evidence records that statues in temples were decorated on ceremonial occasions and led in processions. The fourth and uppermost frieze of the vase is missing a large piece, but depicts another procession. An ox-drawn carriage transports two individuals, a priest and a goddess, or, as mentioned above, a statue of a goddess who sit on the raised area at the back. The middle part of the carriage, which probably had ritual implements hidden under a cover, is missing. Further to the right, the ox's head and horns are visible, along with the yoke, which is held by a man who guides the animal. The other figures on this level are musicians, two men who play lutes, a woman with cymbals, and a female dancer. A male figure, who wears a quiver-like item on his back, is not fully preserved. Vase B. Vase B has no handles and at 52 cm in height is smaller than Vase A. It has only one frieze, running around the neck, under the projecting rim of the vase. As a result of fire damage after the vase was smashed, the colors have been altered. The original red and cream colors have turned into dark browns, reds, and blacks. Only one fragment of the frieze, showing a woman with cymbals, retains the original colors. The band of images is between 7 and 7.5 cm high and is 52 cm long. It depicts an acrobatic scene accompanied by musicians and dancers. According to the general view, two frontally depicted women are to be understood as the left margin of the whole scene. They have their hands on their hips and wear long, sweeping dresses with some kind of variegated apron. Sipe considers them to be dancers, leading a circle dance similar to the yali practiced in modern-day East Turkey. A woman and a man playing cymbals come after them. This instrument, which is identified with the galgatry of Hittite texts by Hans Gustav Güterbach among others, is a common motif in Hittite art, especially on relief vases. Usually the instrument is shown being played by women. The depiction of a male player here is unusual. The next figure is a male musician with a long-necked lute, similar to the modern saz, which commonly appears on early Hittite relief vases. The next two men are not fully preserved, but appear to be squatting with cymbals in their hands. The position of their legs suggests a dancing movement. Then there is another standing musician, with only part of the head and the hands holding a cymbal preserved. After that comes the main scene of the frieze. This central scene shows three acrobats jumping over a bull. The bull faces right and is held by a man with a halter. This man holds an object in his right hand, possibly for providing a rhythm to the performers. Of the leftmost bull leaper, only arms and the head are preserved. By comparison with similar vases from Inandik and Bogoskoye, it is assumed that he was shown springing up from a crouching position. A second man is shown doing a backflip, landing his feet on the hindquarters of the bull. The third leaper is shown leaping over the back of the bull. Since the positions of the three leapers are very different, they probably do not represent three phases of a single leap. Rather, they depict simultaneous action, with acrobats and dancers performing all around a quiescent bull. In this way, the Hittite image differs from Minoan depictions of bull leaping, which are well known from Knossos. In depictions from the Aegean, athletes are shown jumping over a charging bull's head or flank, but in this case a ritual performance on and around a calm bull seems to be depicted. Fragments. Fragments. Three additional fragments of a vase of the Bittik-Inandic type, i.e. with four friezes, show a male figure, probably a cook, with two handled cooking pots of a type known from the Assyrian trading colonies and the Hittite period. On the fragments of a distinct vase of the same type, a divinity, a lion, and another figure are depicted.